Well, let's stay on the ambulance response issue and share some of your thoughts on my story from last night. It was the first time after many of my requests that AMR sat down with me to talk about slow response times in Multnomah County. The biggest issue from their perspective is Multnomah County's 2 paramedic requirement for each ambulance. The company tells me they operate in more than 250 different communities around the country, and Multnomah County is the only one that has that requirement. They believe that if they could use a 1 paramedic, 1 EMT model, their lagging response times would improve. The majority of your comments agreed, saying Multnomah County should drop that mandate even if it's temporary.
After watching your story on AMR and the 2 paramedic system, I don't understand why Multnomah County does not drop this for a short time period that AMR is proposing and let that 2 paramedic system come back to life, period. Multnomah County is being ignorant in the fact, and Dr. Jude needs to get off his horse and allow this to happen before the catastrophe really hits the county.
Some of you take it even a step further and say the change to 1 paramedic, 1 EMT model should be permanent.
I think it's ridiculous that Multnomah County thinks we're so special that we need to have 2 paramedics. If it is true that 2 paramedics make a better cardiac arrest, what about nobody there on that cardiac arrest? Has that doctor ever taken that into account? So I think Multnomah County needs to get off their high horse and fall in line and do 1 EMT with a paramedic, not just for 18 months or 2 years, but permanently.
Kate wrote to us, "The stalemate between AMR and the county is ridiculous. It's going to take a tragedy like one of the county commissioners needing an ambulance for herself that takes 20 minutes to arrive before they truly realize how desperate the situation is. Or AMR gets sued because an ambulance did not arrive and someone died as a direct result. I often feel like I'm living in a third world country and not Portland, Oregon."
I strongly urge Multnomah County readjust their demand and go to 1-and-1 on the ambulances so they can get enough people, or at least to start to get enough people to get to these calls. If you've got 1 paramedic and 1 EMT, that's fine by me. I'd rather have that than no one show up until it's too late.
And how about this from Jack? "I speak from the perspective of having been a career paramedic and firefighter in Oregon for 29 years. I'm a very strong believer that it is in the best interest of the patient that an ambulance staffed with 1 paramedic and 1 EMT arriving sooner is better than a 2 medic ambulance arriving later." But while Jack feels the 1-on-1 model is the way to go, we heard from another former paramedic who disagrees. Kel says, "As a former AMR paramedic who worked in Multnomah County, 2 paramedics were run ragged on most calls. If it changes to only 1 paramedic, that paramedic would be burned out so fast because they will run the majority of calls. It's unfair to the 1 paramedic to take the brunt of the work with little breaks, but a 1 paramedic, 1 basic ambulance is not the answer."
I'm just wondering why we're even having this debate. AMR signed a contract, and the contract called for 2 of the more medically trained people to be on each ambulance. If they can't fulfill the contract, then let's contract with somebody who can. This is ridiculous that we should lower our standards because they can't follow through on their contract.
And that is an interesting thought, but the sentiment I hear from most people is, well, good luck finding another company that can. AMR has a bit of a monopoly on ambulance service in the greater Portland area right now after taking over from Metro West in Washington County. AMR has been the company in charge of Multnomah County for decades. They're well connected and ingrained. It's not easy to find a replacement, even harder to rip up a contract, and there's no assurance that another company would produce better results. Thanks, as always, for your thoughts.